Hi, I'm Nate Baglios with Cali Audio, and in this video we're going to talk about how to connect your studio monitors to your subwoofer. First, we're going to talk about hooking up your mains to your subwoofer using the subwoofer's internal crossover. Connecting your system this way allows you to divide the workload between the mains and the subwoofer for a cohesive playback system with frequency response into the 20 Hz range. The gear that we're going to use applies to any basic studio setup. You'll need a computer, an interface, your studio monitors, a subwoofer, and some balanced cables. For cables, we're going to note the connectors at every input and output point and buy the cables accordingly. Our subwoofer has combi jack inputs, so we can use either XLR or TRS cables here. Let's connect the computer to the interface, which we're going to do with a USB connection. Now let's connect the interface to the subwoofer. I'm going to use TRS cables to connect the right output of the interface to the right input of the subwoofer. Then I'll do the same thing on the left-hand side, connecting the left output of the interface to the left input of the subwoofer. This is a WS6.2, which has XLR outputs, so I'm going to use an XLR cable to connect from the right output of the subwoofer to my right studio monitor. Then I'm going to repeat that same process for the left-hand side. With the cabling situated, we're going to set the crossover on our subwoofer. In this case, we're going to use 80 Hz, which is ideal for any Cali Audio studio monitors, and also works well for studio monitors from most popular brands. Now we're ready to plug in and power on our system. The ideal power on sequence should follow your signal flow. So you go computer and interface first, then your subwoofer, and your studio monitors last. Now we're going to level match the subwoofer to the main speakers. To start, we're going to set the subwoofer and the main speaker's volume level to noon or 0 dB. Based on how present the sub is in the room, or based on your personal preference, you can bring the level of the subwoofer up or down to match the main speakers. It's important to listen to a track that you're very familiar with so that you know how present the subwoofer ought to be. One other thing we're going to talk about is the placement of the subwoofer in your room. The ideal spot for the subwoofer might not necessarily be right in front of you or right between your two main speakers. If the subwoofer isn't sounding right for you, keep an open mind and experiment with placing the subwoofer in different places in the room. It's always nice to try corners or up against a wall so you can get some low-end reinforcement for the sub. Move the subwoofer around and listen from your listening position. Make note of what you like and what you don't like, and trust your ears. If the subwoofer is sounding right in a certain position, that's going to be a good place for it. Keep in mind that both of our subwoofers have a polarity switch, so you can invert the phase from 0 degrees to 180 degrees. This can help solve a lot of the issues that might be present based on the subwoofer's position relative to your main speakers and other objects in the room. Aside from the 80 Hz crossover, the WS6.2 also has crossover settings for LFE, or low frequency effects, as well as external crossovers. LFE is a dedicated channel that only comes into the subwoofer and doesn't go into the main speakers. This is the .1 channel on formats like 5.1 or 7.1.4. You should only ever use the LFE setting if you're using one of those formats. The external crossover setting uses an external crossover, meaning that you're using some other device to control which frequencies go to the sub and which frequencies go to the main speakers. In the external crossover setting, the WS6.2 will play full range, so you want to make sure that you're always crossing over the signal before sending it to the WS6.2, as you might risk damaging the speaker otherwise. We hope you found this video helpful. If you ever have any questions, you can always drop our customer support team a line by going to caliaudio.com and hitting the help or question mark icon that you can find in the bottom right-hand corner of every page. Thanks so much for watching.